Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the College of Science Engineering Information session. Mr. Mohammed Hijab, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Azadin. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm pleased to welcome you to the College of Science and Engineering Information session at Hamad bin Khalifa University. I hope that you find this event to be informative and that it will help to guide you in your academic journey. Our session today will start with the Dean's remarks. Then I will mention the admission requirements for the graduate programs for the College of Science and Engineering. Then we will have 4 different sessions. This depends on the division for each program. So the Division of Information Computing Technology will stay here, and I will share the link so that you may go to the other sessions for the Division of Engineering Management and Decision Sciences, Division of Sustainable Development, and the Bachelor's of Science program in Computer Engineering. The aim of this session is for you to be introduced to our Dean and our faculty members. We will end each session with a Q&A questions. So during the presentation, the line will be muted, so you'll not be able to talk. However, we highly encourage you to post all relevant questions into the Q&A box. You can find it on the 3 dots on the lower side of your WebEx screen. And you can please remember to direct all your questions to all panelists so that someone can help you with your questions. We will address all your questions at the end of the Q&A session. If you're using a mobile phone, you can follow the same steps. So all what you need to do is click on the 3 dots, click on the Q&A, and ask your questions. I will leave the floor now to Dr. Munir Hamdi, who is the founding dean for the College of Science and Engineering, who will talk about the dean's remark. Dr. Munir.
Thank you, Mohammed. I want to take this opportunity to thank you all for coming to this information session. So first of all, Assalamu alaikum. In this brief remarks, we will try to give you general information about the university, about the college, and later on, as previously mentioned, then you can split to according to the programs that you are interested in, whether they are related to the Information and Computing Technology Division or Sustainable Development Division or the Logistics and the Sports Management Division or the undergrad program in computer engineering. So about Hamad bin Khalifa University, it is a relatively new university. It has been designed to be a research-intensive university so that it can be as a catalyst, a transformative change in Qatar and the region while having a global impact. And since we started the college about 5 or 6 years ago, we have been attracting some of the best students from within Qatar and outside, and they have been performing extremely well, and we have been receiving very positive feedback from them and from the employers about their education within our college. Next slide, please. So the college, the university overall has 6 colleges, as you can see here, and the College of Science and Engineering is the largest one, and we have about 14 programs. We do collaborate with the various colleges when it is beneficial to all of us. Also, the university, they have 3 major research institutes on energy and environment, on computing, and in biomedical, and we collaborate with all of them. In particular, the Computing Research Institute and the Energy and Environment Institute. And the university has also other centers like executive education, innovation centers, and so forth. Next slide, please. So there are certain very important principles behind the design of our university. They are centered around excellence. So we believe in excelling on all what you do, whether it is academic programs, research, and so forth. We believe that innovation is extremely important in our programs, in our research, in the design of our curriculum, and so forth. Shaping people and the students is very important to us. So all our activities are student-centered, and we believe in the importance of partnerships, whether it is with the branch campuses within Education City, whether it is between the HBKU colleges, between us and the research institutes, and even outside. Next slide, please. So the College of Science and Engineering is based on the 3 divisions: the Division of Sustainable Development, the Division of Information and Computing Technology, and the Division of Engineering Management and Decision Sciences. And within all of these, we have many programs. Please move on. We have within the Sustainable Development, we have Master and PhD in Sustainable Energy, Master and PhD in Sustainable Environment. For Information and Computing Technology, we have the Bachelor of Science in Computer Engineering, which is the only undergrad program at the university, and it is a very prestigious undergrad program. We have PhD in Computer Science and Engineering, Master of Science in Cybersecurity, Master of Science in Data Science and Engineering, which is essentially artificial intelligence, and we have Master of Information Systems in Health Management. For the Engineering Management and Decision Sciences, we have Master and PhD in Logistics and Supply Chain Management. Also, we have other multidisciplinary programs, such as the Master of Data Analytics in Health Management, which is in collaboration with the College of Health and Life Sciences. And also, we have a joint program which is Master of Science in Sports and Entertainment Management with the University of South Carolina. So as I mentioned, we have been attracting a large number of students. And as you can see, the number of students have been growing steadily over the years. This academic year, we have around 400 graduate students. And as you can see, about 40% of them are Qataris. The rest are either residents in Qatar or international students. And on the next graph, as you can see, we have a large PhD program and a large master program. And we have a small but prestigious Bachelor of Engineering program. And as you can see, that's why research is very important to our college, because we rely a lot on these PhD students to achieve a lot of our research activities. And there is a very nice student diversity, even in terms of male and female. So to have around 43% of students as female in an engineering college is extremely rare, that you don't find it even in the United States. Next slide, please. And as I mentioned, we have been attracting very good students. For example, in this graph here, it shows the fellowships that some of these students receive from QNRF, Qatar National Research Fund. So this is a very prestigious fellowship that each year we get between 10 to 15 of these scholarships. And many of our students, they achieve a large number of prestigious awards. Here we are mentioning just very few of them. So some of our students, they receive awards at the GCC level in terms of innovations. Others, they achieved gold medals at international exhibition of inventions in Geneva. Others, they received awards at the national level, whether it is from Qatar Sustainability Awards or from His Highness the Emir of Qatar recognition for best master or PhD students. And we received other awards related to hackathon and so forth. And many of our students, they have started up companies that are very successful. So you can Google, for example, Apple Lab, and you will see how successful it is. And it has started with one of our students. And we have many other examples. And many of our students, they publish a lot, and they have been winning a lot of international competitions in AI and in other activities, which is very nice to see. And the reason for these awards, first, because the students are very good. Second, because once they enter our college, they receive extremely good mentoring and education so that they can practically excel in anything that they want. Next slide, please. So in terms of master and PhD students, students obviously they need to do research, and our research, it is very diversified, and it's centered around 8 pillars. For example, in sensors, communication networking, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, health and human-centered research, energy and resources, water, food and the environment, logistics and supply chain management. So practically all the areas within engineering and science, you will find them within our college, and they have been led by extremely successful professors that they are ready to give you the best supervision and the best mentoring possible. Next slide, please. So again, as I mentioned before, we are a research-intensive university, and we do publish a lot. In fact, on average, we publish around 300 research publications per year, and many of this research is done, of course, with the students. And we have many active funded research projects from internally and externally, whether it is from QNRF or from Schlumberger, NATO Supreme Committee, and so forth. And the fact that we have almost 80 funded research projects, it gives you an indication about the quality of research and education that it is being undertaken by our college. Next slide, please. And we have a large number of collaborations with the industry and government that you can see here. I'm not going to go to each one of them, but we are very proud to be connected with a large number of these entities, and we are able to collaborate on research projects, on industrial projects, on internships, in many things that benefit the college and the students directly. Next slide, please. So basically, some of the research that we do, and again, this is just a small number of research projects. We build smart sensors and smart systems. So for example, we are collaborating with the Supreme Committee in designing these smart watches for construction workers in Qatar that can measure the vital health signs of Qatar. We are designing smart masks for COVID-19. We are designing RFID chips for grid, for Kahrama and Iberdrola. Next slide, please. We build the AI solutions. For example, we are building AI solution for the Ministry of Interior that can predict accidents with extreme accuracy. So in this case, we can prevent traffic accident and reduce them. And it is being tested by the Ministry of Interior. We are using AI to detect autism in children. we also using AI for many other health applications related to skin cancer detection, related to detecting melanoma, and also detecting many other diseases, and many of this were received basically worldwide awards through these AI competitions. Next slide, please. Also, we build sustainable development solutions, whether it is related to sustainable cities, whether related to water efficiency, indoor environment quality, material and resources, energy and the atmosphere, location and transportation. All of these, they are related to the what is called UN Sustainability Development Goals, and we work on many of these topics. And actually, many of the PhD theses and the projects of our students are very much related to these. Next slide, please. So, for example, some of our students, they are working on these smart buildings, from architecture to lighting to solar to energy, and they have received a lot of national and international awards in these areas. Next slide, please. Also, we build smart human-computer interfaces with applications. For example, we have a very important project related to the visualization and the exploration of Imam al-Bukhari collection of ahadith. We're also working with the Qatar museums in terms of having information and inspection of art using mobile applications. Next slide, please. We also worked with the Supreme Committee on this project in coming up with fertilizers out of organic waste products. And this fertilizers, it will make crops grow faster while requiring less amounts of water. And this has been tested on plants, on grass, and so forth. And it is very important project for us. Another example of project is turning waste into a resource. And we built the application for this, and it is being launched as a startup company, and it will start within Education City as a testing phase for this. Next slide, please. Also, we build cybersecurity solutions. For example, we build systems for protecting critical infrastructure from drone threats, which is very important topic nowadays. And in fact, we have many innovative ideas. Some of these are just a small sample. And 1 year ago, we received the best innovative booth at KidCom, which was attended by more than 30,000 visitors in Qatar. And we were competing with big companies such as IBM, Microsoft, Huawei, and so forth. Next slide, please. We are also building a very practical solution like robots for outdoor and indoor disinfection for during this Corona period. Also related to the Corona and the COVID-19, we built the application that can be downloaded from the Apple Store or the Google Store, which can measure the mental health of children. Also, we are designing a smart mask using wearable electronics, where these smart masks, they will be able to detect whether somebody potentially has COVID or not, based on the breath of the person. Next slide, please. Finally, also another thing is that many of our research we wanted to lead to startup companies. So we are in the process of starting up companies, for example, related to advanced simulation for reservoirs in the oil and gas sector. And this company is being started up by a colleague of ours, and it will be within QSTP. Also, as I mentioned before, this turning waste into a resource is being launched as a startup, and it is being started within Education City as a testing phase. So basically, we do a lot of research that can lead to practical application, that can lead to significant awards, that can lead to publications, and also can lead to startup companies. And again, all of these efforts is because of the quality of the students that we admit and the quality of the faculty that we have in the college. So on behalf of the college, I wish that many of you apply, and I can guarantee you that you will get the best education possible. And through the experience that we have in the past 4 or 5 years, we received a tremendous positive feedback from our alumni, from the employers of our alumni, and from colleagues within Qatar and all over the world. Next slide, please. So let me stop for myself. And again, it has been an honor for me to address you, and I hope that I'll be able to see you face to face next fall when we see many of you in our college. So now I will pass it to the admission team to tell you about the admission requirement, and later on our colleagues will give you much more details about all this, the specific details about the various programs that we have within our college. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Munir. This was really informative, and we've learned about all the different research that's done under the College of Science and Engineering. So for now, in this section, I will go through the admission requirements for the graduate programs under the College of Science and Engineering. And after that, I will address the admission questions. I've seen like you've been writing a lot of questions. Please continue doing that by clicking on the 3 dots and making sure that the question is addressed to all panelists. Applicants applying to the College of Science and Engineering should have a strong academic record. You can prove your strong academic record by having a GPA of at least 3 out of 4 from a recognized university. If you're applying for the master's program, you should have a bachelor's degree, while if you're applying for a PhD program, you should have a master's degree. Applicants to all PhD programs under the College of Science and Engineering are required to submit a valid GRE general test score at the time of application. I know that the dates for the GRE with COVID, they are messed up. Sometimes exams are canceled and so on. And for this reason, we do accept GRE at home. So you can take the GRE at your home with your own laptop, but there are certain rules to do that. You can go to the ETS website, or you can just Google or Bing or whatever you search for a GRE, and you can find the website and you can find more information about how to register for GRE at home. And it's almost done on a daily basis, so you will have the time to do it. Applicants with a prior research experience are preferred, especially for PhD programs, of course. So what are the required field of study for the different programs? As you can see here, you can take a screenshot of this. As you can see here, mainly computer science, engineering, mathematics, all fall under the College of Science and Engineering programs. Even if you're coming from different backgrounds, such as, let's say, information system, business, finance, economics, management, if you have this type of background, you can still apply to all different programs here. For example, also, if you have a sports-related degree, you can apply for the Masters of Science in Sports and Entertainment Management. So as Dr. Munir was showing, the research is wide and the programs are interdisciplinary. So whatever, it's kind of whatever your background is from, you can still find a program that suits you and you should apply. So what are the steps now? First, you have to go to the HBKU website, so hbku.edu.qa. You can go to the admissions page and you have to fill out your online application. Typically, the online application takes up to 10 to 15 minutes if you have all the documents ready. So it will not take you a long time. You don't have to write an essay inside the application itself. In the application, we'll ask you to submit your academic transcripts. We'll also ask you for grading scales. Grading scales are there so that if your transcript does not show a GPA out of 4, like for example, if you have a GPA out of 5, or you have a percentage or a letter grade degree, you don't have a GPA out of 4. So what do? We convert that into a GPA out of 4. And we do that through grading scales. So you can ask your college, your university, to submit a grading scale. If your GPA is already out of 4, so you can just submit your academic transcript again on their grading scale. You have to prove your English proficiency, and you can do that by either submitting an official TOEFL or IELTS score. There are a lot of exemptions that can be made, and a list of that, you can find it on the admissions website. For example, one exemption is that if you studied your bachelor's degree at an English-speaking university, or you took all your courses in English, then you don't have to do an IELTS or a TOEFL. A personal statement is also required to be uploaded in the document. That's 300 to 500 words describing why you are interested in the program. If you have any research interests, that's the place to do it as well. You have to submit your identification, passport, and Qatari ID, your most updated CV as well. We have to submit also 2 recommendation letters, and these are submitted by email. So your referee, there's a form on the admissions website, on the admissions link, sorry, you can find it, and there's a form where your referee has to fill it out and write a letter and submit it directly to this email, which is right there, recommendations@hbku.edu.qa. As I mentioned earlier, GRE is required from all PhD applicants. Well, it's not required from MS applicants, but if you do it, it will really push your application. So if you can do it, go ahead and do it. The deadline for the applications for Qataris and residents is March 15, 2021. I'm not sure if there are any international students here, but the deadline has passed on February 1st. So I'll try to answer as much questions, admission-related questions, but I'm receiving one every second right now. So at the end of the session, if not all your questions were answered, you can still contact the admissions office directly. You can see the emails on the screen right in front of you. So this is the question and answer session. So I'll start by trying to answer as much questions as possible, admissions related. If we have questions that can be assigned to Dr. Munir or anyone from the college, I'll do that as well. Let's answer a few questions. First, there's a question asking where is the next deadline for international students. So if you have applied already, that's fine. So you've met the deadline. If you didn't apply before the deadline of February 1st, then you'll have to wait until we open the new application, and that would be in November. We still don't have the exact date, but that will be sometime in November. Someone is asking, this is an important question, till 15th of March, is it compulsory to submit a GRE? You should take the GRE as soon as possible. at the end of the admission of your GRE session, you will receive on your screen a score. It will be unofficial score. It will not include the writing section. It will only include the quantitative and the analytic section and the English section. So you can email us with these two scores and we can add them to your application, because that usually it takes up to 2 weeks till you receive the official scores. So don't wait until you receive the official score. Make sure that you submit the application first before March 15, and that you send us the GRE scores as soon as possible. Okay, good evening. Okay, is it too late to send the recommendation letter form for international students? Definitely not, it's not too late. We know that students cannot control their professors or their recommendee want to send the recommendation letter. Sometimes they're busy and so on. So we're very lenient with this matter. You can still ask your professors to send the recommendation letters through the email. It's not too late. And to be honest, we will not deny you just because you haven't submitted a recommendation letter, because it's not in the student hand itself. So just ask your professors to submit their letters as soon as possible. If they said they needed time for after March 15 or whatever day it is, that's completely fine. I applied, but my grading scale is out of 5, not out of 4. Yeah, so for specific questions, like if you have a very specific question, such as like my GPA is so and so, should I apply or so on, just email admission. That way we can help you like case by case basis. I have questions for undergraduate programs as well. Someone's asking about the SAT. So I recommend that you visit the under the bachelor session, which will go right after this one. I will share the link in the chat, or one of my colleagues might share it as well. And there you can ask all the questions that are related to the bachelor's program. They're asking if there's a minimum score for GRE. Does anyone of the professors or anyone from the college want to comment on that?
I will comment on that during the ICT session. That's more relevant to the ICT programs, and I leave the others.
All right, thank you so much. So mainly for minimum scores for GRE, we would recommend that you visit the different programs and you will ask the score. I think they will mention it in their presentations as well. There's a question about funding opportunity. Is Dr. Hamish wants to comment on that?
Hello. I am answering some of the scholarship questions as they come through. We do offer scholarships within the college. We have a couple of different packages that we offer. So some a partial tuition coverage, which means that there is still a little bit of the fee that needs to be paid. They allow students to also hold employment at the same time. And we also have scholarships that include a stipend for living expenses, and for international students, they would include housing as well. They are very competitive, but we do have them. They are mainly offered at PhD level rather than master's level, but there is opportunity at both. The last mode of funding that is available is through grants. So sometimes a student might be offered a tuition waiver. They may be able to pick up a research assistant position, then with a faculty on a grant as well.
Okay, and one last common question before we end the questions for the admissions session. Someone's asking about the when will I get confirmation about admission or the admission decision itself. We've already started checking the applications and reviewing them. You may get your decision, you will receive your decision by email. No matter what, if you're selected or not, you will receive an official decision by email. I would expect the latest time you may receive a decision would be in June or July. That's the latest time, but most probably you will receive an admission decision before that. You need to check your email every now and then. And so, yeah, that's it for the admissions part. I'll share with you the links right now for the other divisions. So if you want to continue with the ICT division, Information and Computing Technology division, you can stay in this link. If you want to go to any of the other divisions, I shared the links right now. So if you want to go to the sustainability division or the management as well, or the bachelor's, someone was asking about the bachelor's program, you can go to the links and wait till the session starts. So that's enough.
So again, sorry. So again, a kind reminder for our esteemed attendees. So there are three parallel sessions that are taking place now. My colleague Mohammed just shared the access link. If you can just click on the chat tab at the bottom of your screen, the WebEx screen. So you will see there is a chat icon. Click on it. You will see that Mohammed just typed a message. That message, you will find the link of a website where you have the links to access the parallel session. So if you're interested, for example, in the Bachelor of Science in Computing Engineering, there is a session which is scheduled to start now. If you're interested in the Division of Engineering Management and Decision Sciences, also you'll find the link. And the third session is the Division of Sustainable Development session. For those of you who are interested in the Division of Information and Computer Technology, please stay here. Don't leave. Again, you will find the link at the bottom of the WebEx screen. There is a chat icon. Click on the chat icon. See the website link. Click on it, and it will take you to a web page where you have all the other links for the parallel sessions. Thank you so much, and thank you for being with us.
if you have any questions, you're not able to click on the link, or you're not sure how to move between divisions, you can send us a chat Q&A as well. We'll try to help you with that. We're starting with the Division of Information and Computing Technology soon. So again, if you're staying here, we will present the Division of Information and Computing Technology. And this is just a reminder of how to ask questions. You can still ask questions during the session. So you click on the three dots and you click on the Q&A and make sure that you direct the questions to all panelists. And if you're using your mobile phone, you can click on the three dots as well and then click on the Q&A. So now we have Dr. Abdessalam, who is a professor and the head of the ICT division for the College of Science and Engineering, who will introduce to us the division and their programs. Dr. Abdessalam.
Thank you, Mohammed, and good evening. Assalamu alaikum all. It is my pleasure to welcome you on behalf of the ICT division and to thank you actually for being interested in our programs. As Mohammed presented me, I'm Professor Salim Bouzerdoum, the head of the ICT division. Could we move on to the next slide, please? Next slide, please. Yeah. So some of our research, no, please, the previous one. Yes, some of our research has been already presented by Dr. Munir, the dean of the college. But just to let you know what is our division about, our division is basically about processing information to get out useful application and useful outcomes from the information. So we start basically with the sensors side, collecting information, to move on to the signal processing, to reshaping that information, those signals, then to storing it and analyzing it and extracting useful information using big data. And we move on to securing that information for privacy and for security. So that's basically the chain, the roadmap that we have. And all that is geared towards application, real application in health, assistive technologies, transportation, medical diagnosis, Internet of Things, security, surveillance, smart grid, all types of applications we can handle. As long as we have data and sensors, then we can actually play a role in our programs can contribute to that. Next slide, please. Next, yes, our being a young division, young college, our programs are specifically designed for current relevance and future impact. What do I mean by this is that we're not a traditional computer engineering, computer science department where we offer traditional curriculum. The division and the programs in the division were designed to actually be targeted the current modern curriculum that has relevance in the future and in the current age, applications and so on. So that's how our programs were designed. So they were designed to provide cutting edge education and training in the research programs. So we not only we focus on theoretical aspects of the development of the programs, but also in their applications in real life situations, scenarios. And we also, all our programs in terms of teaching as well as research, employ or use modern tools, whether it being in cybersecurity, machine learning, big data. We use the latest tools that are being used in big industries like Google and Amazon and so on. So you'll go from the theoretical aspect to the practical side of it. And along the line, you will experience using the modern tools that are being used with big industry. So there are opportunities for real life experience through either industrial projects in terms both of master's and PhD, as well as we are linked to research institutes in HBKU. There are also opportunities to do your research within one of those research institutes. We are new, so we provide state-of-the-art equipment and modern facilities for both research and teaching. And we have an excellent, motivated, talented, and experienced set of colleagues, of faculty members that will be guiding you throughout your teaching, education, and research. So you will see, we are actually proud to say we are the largest division in the whole HBKU. We have 21 full faculty members, and we have 3 joint members from Qatar Computing Research Institute, QCRI. So in total, we have 24 members who contribute to teaching and research. I might also say that our dean also contributes to our research, being aligned, his research is aligned with our division. Next slide, please. So why do join HBKU? We offer basically, as I said, modern curriculum with really state-of-the-art facilities and research programs. We offer in total 6 programs, 1 PhD program, 4 master's degrees, and 1 Bachelor of Computer Engineering. The Bachelor of Computer Engineering is having a parallel session, so I will not talk too much about it, but now I will present to you our programs and the requirement of each program. So next slide, please. So the PhD program is officially a 3-year degree, 54 credits. That means 18 credits a year or 9 credits per semester. However, the first year is dedicated, devoted to coursework. We have 6 courses, 3 core courses, and 3 electives. And we also have 2 seminar sessions. The seminars are 1 hour seminars presented by visitors and our faculty to basically introduce our research and the research that is done out there to our students, to basically familiarize them with the research that we do, and as well as the research that is being done outside HBKU, so that they would know that really the research that we are doing is no different or is among the top research that is out there. So then in year 2 and year 3, officially the research starts, but the PhD is generally not just the 54 credits. You really have to produce, there are a certain number of requirements. We have 3 exams that you have to pass. One, we call it the qualifying exam, the candidacy exam, and the final exam. You have to produce 2 research papers that have to be accepted and published. And you have to finish your research and write a dissertation. That's the reason why most students will take them a little bit. We would love for you to finish in 3 years, but we do understand that research sometimes could take time. So it may take 3.5 years or 4 years. So the 54 credit or the 3 years is the minimum. And in terms of courses, we have, as I said, 3 core courses. They are research methods and ethics, applied data analytics. And we have 2 courses where students can have to choose between principles of computer system design or advanced algorithms and data structures. I will address any questions related to the PhD later, but we move on to the master's degrees. The master's degrees all have a similar structure where they are 33 credit point degrees, and they consist of almost 1.5 years of coursework and more than 1 semester of research or thesis research. So the Master of Cybersecurity is 33 credits, 8 courses, 4 are core courses, and 4 are electives. So in the first year, you will be doing 6 courses plus 1 seminar. Then 2 more courses will be taken in the 3rd semester, but also in the 3rd semester, if you're doing the thesis, you will start your thesis, 3 credits of the thesis in the 3rd semester. And in the fourth semester, you will do your final, you will finish your thesis. Generally, students for the master finish in 2 years. So we expect students to actually finish in 2 years, because although we want the research to be of publishable quality, high quality research, the requirements are not as strict as in the PhD. The PhD, there is a requirement on innovation, there is a requirement on publishing in a journal paper. We do understand and we can judge if a thesis is publishable quality. We don't require the student to wait until a paper is published before graduating. So generally, if you finish your research, you can graduate within 2 years. And we do expect the majority of our students graduate actually in 2 years for the master's degree. In terms of core courses for cybersecurity, research method and ethics is a core course for all programs. That's basically, it's the course that teaches you how to do research, how to write, literature review, how to pay attention to plagiarism, how to recognize, previous work, and so on. So that is required for any research degree. Then the different master degrees differ in their core courses and the electives that the student choose. So for the cybersecurity, we have applied cryptography, computer and network security, and security risk analysis. We do have other cybersecurity courses, but they are offered as electives. We have quantum computing, we have multimedia security, we have, network security and forensics. So the student then can choose depending on their interest and the topic they are actually doing in their research, with guidance from their supervisor as to the appropriate electives for them. Next slide, please. The Master in Data Science and Engineering, again, it's the same structure, 33 credits, 8 courses, and 1.5 semester of thesis. The only difference is in terms of the core courses. We have research method and ethics. As I said, this is common to most programs. Applied data analytics, statistics for science and engineering, and advanced data management. We have other courses like machine learning and other courses that the student can choose to complement their core courses. Next slide, please. Master of Data Analytics in Health Management. This is a specific master degree, while our data science is basically the core, basically the normal computer science, computer engineering course in data science and engineering. This one is a little bit with more an applied focus. So the focus here is to apply it to health. With the first master degree, you get the proper knowledge in machine learning, big data analytics, and the tools to work basically anywhere, including in health, I might say. But if you are basically more health focused, this is probably the course that's more suited to you. Again, it focuses on applied data analytics and the tools in data analytics with application to health in particular. So, for example, for the research methods, here the program requires research method and ethics in health and genomics, because if you work in the health sector, you need to be aware of the ethics in terms of health and in terms of genomics and so on. Then you have computational bioinformatics, AI and machine learning in healthcare, and principles of health informatics. Those are the core courses. There are other electives that are also in health informatics and other allied disciplines, or you could even take some of the courses in machine learning that are electives for data science. If you are really interested in terms of security and in cybersecurity in health, there is also a possibility to do a course in elective in cybersecurity, how to basically safeguard the health information systems. Next slide, please. This master degree, again, is while the other 3 master's degrees are merely meant for someone with a background in computer science, computer engineering, engineering in general, and mathematics. They tend to be the traditional computer engineering, computer science programs. They do require a little bit of mathematics, a little bit of programming. And as Mohammed Hijab mentioned, that if you have prior experience, we do understand some coming from different disciplines, but because of their work experience, they were exposed to some of the tools and the techniques applied in either cybersecurity, data science, or MDA in health management. So we do, the admission committee takes that into account. But if you haven't had that background, that solid background in programming and computer science, computer engineering, this Master of Information Systems in health management is really designed for those people who are working in health, but they're exposed to technology, basically. Information systems and managing the health information systems, the health records. So they were working with the technology, but they don't necessarily need to develop that technology or invent it themselves. So this is the program designed for that. This is why this program is designed a little bit differently in that it doesn't have a thesis. It has what we call industrial project. The other master's degree have a choice of industrial research project or a thesis. This one has only the option of the industrial research project because it's meant to be for people in the health already with applying, their skills to the health sector. So the core courses are healthcare information systems, information technology project management, information systems management, information system analysis and design. Those are 4 courses. There are 5 other electives that the student will take to complement their coursework. Then in the final semester, there is the industrial project. The industrial project is a 6 credit project. It is desirable to have it with a hospital or with industry, but it's not a requirement. What it's meant really to be, it is an applied project. It is a project that it may not be with a hospital, but it's meant to be really applied in an industrial setting. The last program we offer is Bachelor of Computer Engineering. And as I said, this has a different information session, so I will not comment about it. We'll just move to the other slides, please. This is just to expose. Our research was actually well presented, well exposed by Dr. Munir, so I don't need really to dwell too much on that, except to say we go really from the sensors, from designing the sensors themselves, collecting the signal, processing signal, that's signal processing, to processing that information in the big data analytics and the machine learning setting, to the cybersecurity side, and we have all types of applications. So I would prefer to devote more time now to questions. I think this ends the formal part of my presentation, and I'll be happy to answer any questions from the audience.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Abdeslam. We also have with us Dr. Dina, who is an assistant professor and the director of the interdisciplinary programs at HBKU. Dr. Dina, you'll be reading the questions and answering them with Dr. Abdeslam.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Yes, actually, I've been answering some questions. I've answered so far 59 questions in chat. And some question actually comes into the admission sphere that I could not address myself. Like, for example, not being able to submit a TOEFL because they have been studying in a university that used an English language as the medium of communication. So that's one question I received. I will leave it to you, Mr. Mohammed, to address. Other questions as well in terms of admissions and deadlines. I think most of these questions were addressed actually by you in your presentation. For example, when would they hear from you from admissions? Basically, the result scholarship questions were also addressed by Dr. Hamish in the chat. Other related program questions, most of the question I was able to answer. For example, taking an elective, Dr. Salim, maybe this is a question that appeared a lot in the chat, taking an elective outside the programs. Like
very good question.
Yeah.
But can I just go back to the previous questions from the first session, because I promised to address some of them here, like the GRE. Some questions were asking, is GRE required? Yes, it is. What is the minimum GRE score? We don't specify a minimum GRE score, but you should do your best. Basically, our admission committee takes your application, your previous transcript, your background, your GRE score, and an interview with you, and compare you to other applicants and rank you. And that's how admission is made. So it's based on ranking, because some of you have already asked questions about scholarships, and legitimately so, it's okay. So we do provide scholarships. Our scholarships mostly as tuition waivers for the residents. Only the PhD program for international students, because they cannot support themselves. So we offer them housing and a stipend. But the tuition waiver is usually 80%, but that is not a promise. You know, it depends on the budget. Our budget comes from Qatar Foundation. It may change from year to year. We would love to offer more scholarships and with a bigger percentage of tuition waiver, but every year the scholarship committee basically meets and assess the budget, and we see how we can make the most offers, you know, accommodate, you know, offer more scholarship to students within the budget that we had. So we do offer scholarships. It is mostly 80% tuition waiver, but that could change. And its stipend is only offered to PhD students, international students who cannot support themselves in Qatar. So they need housing and they need sustenance, basically a stipend. In terms of GRE, as I said, there is no minimum score, but basically, if you are in the bottom 25%, because the GRE will give you a score and will give you a percentile. Where do you sit in terms by comparison to all the people who took the GRE? If you are in the bottom 25%, frankly, you're not competitive. You should aim to be in the top 50%. And even so, as I said, it will depend on other applicants. So I cannot give you a minimum GRE score, but you can tell basically if you take a score and it is in the bottom 25%, you better repeat it. It's most likely it's not going to be competitive. Even in the bottom 50%, I would repeat it as well. So do the best you can, get the best score, because I cannot give you a score. We'll just, if we have 10 scholarship, we will take the best 10 students. And if student number 10, their percentile is the top 25%, then even if you are in the top 40%, you're not going to be competitive. Sorry, Dina, what's the other question? My apology.
So basically, there is a question about taking electives outside the program.
Yes, very good question, actually. Yes, basically, our electives are designed to maintain the integrity of the program. And let me be frank with you, we get some students who look for an easy way. We're not here about providing an easy or a hard way. From our point of view, the programs are fair. They're not easy, they're not hard. It's all really depends on your motivation and your intent. If your intent to just get an easy way, we're not there. We provide our core courses and elective to maintain the integrity of the program. So when we say this is a cybersecurity master's degree, we are confident that an industry person, when they employ our student, they are confident they have the requisite knowledge in cybersecurity. They're going to be productive. Having said that, we do understand that education is about, sometimes broadening your knowledge. So we have one free elective, we call it free elective, that can be taken outside the program, outside the division, outside the college, or from the whole university. Sometimes that's okay. We have one course, only one course, to complement your interest. So we limit it to one course because we don't want people just chasing the easy subjects. That doesn't really do them any good. It doesn't really prepare them very well for their research and for their career. But we do have this flexibility, one course outside the division or outside the program.
Thank you, Dr. Salim. There is also another question actually that is interesting, that some students have interest, for example, in data science or in cybersecurity, but they come from a different engineering background. For example, there is one who asked the question, he come from a petroleum engineering background and he's interested in cybersecurity. So is it possible to apply?
Basically, we don't discount it from the beginning. It depends on the committee will look at your transcript, your background. Having said that, let me give you just an example. We had a petroleum engineer. We admitted him in data science because we thought he did he has the required mathematics. He has the statistics background. The engineering usually have this type of knowledge. And he worked with industry, so he was familiar with computers. It's not like computers are a foreign thing. And he was my master student. He did the thesis with me. He was a brilliant student. He was very, very good. So we don't basically discount that, but the committee will ask you in terms, if you're going, cybersecurity is a little bit different. It requires more programming. Because if you're going to design a program, computer cryptography or a code to break something, it needs more computer science programming. So if you have that experience and you can convince the committee, it's fine. I would say it's not a problem. For coming from an engineering background, usually the mathematics and the statistics and the engineering knowledge is there. Sometimes just if you go to more specific like cybersecurity, if you're not really knowledgeable or skillful with programming, it could be a disadvantage. You will be required to work with more programs. That's the only thing I can say. So for me, I would, based on previous experience, would advise you to do data science. Because even in petroleum, there is data, people work with data. But it's up to you. That's the only thing I would say, in your heart, in your you know yourself, are you comfortable with writing programs? Other questions, Dina, please.
Actually, those are the most questions that were repeated a lot by the attendees. The rest of questions are mainly admissions, asking about the GRE. That's one that you have addressed. Some questions asking about sending the reference letters, and if this is basically some students have not sent the reference letters as of yet, and if this will affect their program acceptance.
I can address some of them, and Mohammed is here, can correct me or add something, because I've been, involved in these information sessions. So generally what we are saying is make your applications within the deadline. Try as soon as possible to submit your applications, because basically when the committee start assessing them, they want to have your full application ready. So if you took the GRE and you haven't received the formal score, just submit what you have. It's informal. The committee can look at it, at least can place you where you are and keep it temporary until the formal score comes. With references, the same thing. I mean, there are certain things outside the student control or the applicant control. The committee understands that. as long as, so if it comes without references, we'll place you, then we might say, look, we're not sure whether you are placed number 15 or number 12. We would like to see the references to see whether they support. They're probably saying some good things. So if you don't have the references, if by the time we finish the process, the references have not been sent, your application will be disqualified. So if it's not, you should ask for the references before the deadline. If they are done by the deadline, that's good. If they're not, and there is a promise they are coming soon, that's okay. We are patient. We're not going to disqualify you. We will assess the application without the references, keeping in mind we're waiting for the references to make a final decision. So the process of assessing the application is a long process. Some have asked, when do I get the decision? I've read some question that says, I applied in November, I haven't received the decision yet. The reason you haven't received the decision yet is we need to wait until the applications close and all applicants are assessed, applications are assessed, ranked, and interviewed, because we cannot make a judgment in January whether someone is ranked number 5 or number 50. We haven't seen the other applications yet. So please be patient. The process is for admission in August 2021. So we endeavor to basically make the decisions as soon as possible, but it does take time. Really, we have received many applications and the admission committee is very busy and takes everything seriously. And as we said, sometimes we have missing piece of information, so we have to wait for it. So we hope, by June, and sometimes what also delays us is the offer of scholarships. The budget might be delayed because of it's coming from Qatar Foundation or the university, and we don't know whether we will offer 10 scholarships or 5. However, be prepared, and if you are interviewed, that means your application is actually being considered favorably. So do your best during the interview. So that will happen hopefully second half of March and April. Maybe April, basically the interviews will start and we move from there.
Thank you, Dr. Salim. There is some questions also related basically to the programs, having irrelevant programs, and I think you answered this. Many questions were asking about the GRE, basically grades, and one question have asked about what exactly in the GRE, is it the quantitative or it's other sections that are required?
I think it's the Mohammed answered this. Mohammed, what did you say before? Sorry. I think
Yes,
we don't, basically we don't look at the writing because we have the TOEFL test.
Yes.
That's basically.
When you register to the GRE, you have to do all the tests. So you have to do the quantitative, the writing, and as well as the English part. Mainly, you have to focus for all the programs in College of Science and Engineering. You have to focus on the quantitative part. That does not mean you can just skip the others. You can try to do them. It's just you're sitting there in the test. But yeah, make sure that you focus on the quantitative part, and that's the most competitive thing in the admissions cycle. Some are asking if they can apply to more than one program. That's completely fine. In the application itself, you can choose up to 2 programs. And you can prioritize them, priority 1 and 2, and you can choose up to 2 programs. That's it. It doesn't matter if they're in the same division or even the same college. You can choose programs from different colleges. So that's completely fine. And we as an admission office, we do send your file to the different colleges you're applying to, or to the different programs coordinator that you're applying to. So don't worry about that. That's completely fine and possible.
And there is a question about the deadline to submit the GRE.
Well, Dr. Abdusalam just mentioned this. I wouldn't say there is a deadline of March 15, but to be honest, we're starting to review applications. So it's better to submit it as soon as possible. The best thing about these exams, the standardized test, that you can do it more than once. So I would register for one in a week and for another in 2 or 3 weeks. We still have a month till the deadline. And try to do your best in these tests. However, if you didn't do very well, you've done the last exam on March 14th, for example, and you didn't have a very good score, you think you can do much better, register for another one a week or 2 weeks later as soon as possible, so that your application will be updated before it is reviewed by the committee. I wouldn't wait till April and May. Some students do that. Sometimes it's too late. So don't take this risk. You have the time now, do it. And if you need help, like preparing for the exam, if you need help registering for the exam, we do not register students, but I can help you with the links, with the guidelines, with preparing to the exam. It's pretty simple, especially for students who come from math, engineering backgrounds, even computer science backgrounds. It should be fine. Students who come from different other backgrounds, such as economics and management, also don't find a huge difficulty in this exam. So we can always help you. Make sure that you email admissions.ict, the email that I've put before, and I'll personally help you with the GRE help.
Basically, the advice I give you is that you want to basically give yourself the best chance. You want to distinguish yourself from the other applicants. So if you have the ability to do very good scoring in the GRE, but you don't submit it, you submit it late, then you are in the pool with, when your application is assessed, that particular factor is not, you are at a disadvantage. You're not giving yourself the best chance. So although we don't have a deadline, but we cannot wait forever. So it doesn't matter even if you submit it one day after the 15, we accept it. But the question you ask yourself, is that the best chance? Are you giving yourself the best chance? So you really don't disadvantage yourself. I don't see the need. I just want to make one comment also about about international students. I know the question was asked before. International student, what is the next round of applications open? And Mohammed Hijab answered it, except there is something we didn't mention in this information session. If you are in Qatar currently and you want to apply as an international student, it is still acceptable. So the February 1st is for international students outside Qatar. But the 15th of March, if you are an international student inside Qatar, you can still apply to our programs. So I'm not sure where the question was coming from. So if it is someone from inside Qatar, you're currently doing a bachelor degree in Qatar and you are an international student, so we still consider you like a Qatar resident. So please go ahead, apply before March 15. This is just answering a question from the previous session.
Thank you, Dr. Sain. There is actually an interesting question here. Basically, an attendant asked this question in regards to the industrial projects in for example, the MIS in health management. What are some examples that you could share with them about current student working on such an example, just for them to have an idea of the sort of scope of this project?
Unfortunately, from the top of my head, to be honest, I can't specifically. I know they have, the reason for that, we have only 4 students graduating this semester. This is our first cohort. It's a small, and I haven't discussed the topics with my colleagues. I know their research in general, what they are doing in research. Dina probably can elaborate a little bit more about the type of research that are being done in the health sector. So they do vary. Are you familiar with any specific?
Actually, that's a good point, Dr. Salim. Actually, I have one student graduating, and what she's doing is very interesting. It's part of a funded project, and we are conducting some research on how to use augmented reality with kids with autism spectrum disorder. So we've been collaborating with the Shifallah Institute here in Qatar. We've done many studies in the schools. With the children and the tutors, we designed a full application. This girl actually designed the full application, and she's now writing the report about it. So that's
Exactly.
the project.
Some of our colleagues, because of this COVID, have started projects in COVID, and it varies. You know, it's not just, you know, there is COVID in the health sector developing vaccines, but we are interested in COVID in terms of the health informatics. You know, how do you, collect information? How do you extract, where the outbreaks are, where things. So this is the type of project that our colleagues are doing.
Exactly. Actually, there is another faculty also. Dr. Jens Schneider is working with one of the students with the Ministry of Public Health, trying to better present data when it comes to basically pandemic or big health data. How can we better present them to the users? And they are doing some user studies as well, and that's also as part of the MIS program.
Yeah. Having said that, don't take this as a limiting factor. This is not a limitation for us, because we, depending on the topic, so the past projects are not necessarily going to be, this is what currently is happening. When you come, whenever, I mean, 2 years ago, we didn't know COVID, so we didn't have anything. So if someone asked me 2 years ago, I wouldn't give this answer. But now we have COVID, so we have research that is COVID related. So our research evolves. So don't be too limited by that. It's
exactly. And actually also through the seminar sessions, the student will get exposed to many projects and many faculty members doing really interesting stuff in health and other applied areas.
Exactly, that's a good point. That's why we're on the seminars, to really give you a broad, perspective on the research that is done. And that's very important for someone to have that broad perspective. You may be interested in a small focused area, but you need to know how is your research area is linked with other people, even though it's not in your expertise. So the research seminars will give you a lot more examples about the type of research that we do. And we are actually open also to, because there are some people who are already working in the health sector. So they may come up with their own problems. This is, and we had actually examples where we had a doctor, and he was also Dr. Jens's student, and he did an excellent thesis. He was doing melanoma detection, skin cancer detection. He was actually working in the hospital with that data. So although Dr. Jens is a computer graphics visualization person, the student brought this example, says, I want to work on this because this is what I use in my work. And with his expertise, Dr. Jens says, okay, that's what we can do. So that is a very good example where a project came actually from the industry side, from the health sector. We are completely open to that. So as I said, the good thing, that's why we look, about the theoretical aspect and the fundamentals to build the knowledge. That way we can tackle any problem. For us, it's just a matter of data and where it is applied. So domain knowledge is important. That's usually, if it comes from the student or from their workplace, that's even better. So we welcome that.
Looking at the question, actually, the majority of the other questions basically falls into the category of asking about scholarships, like the full scholarship. Is it? And I think these already were answered by Dr. Hamish. I don't know if you'd like to add something, Dr. Salim.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Dina. Yes, I already mentioned this, but I'll add to it more specifically. For our master's degrees, we offer only a tuition waiver because simply we don't really have the budget to offer to everybody. And that's the reason why international students usually, unless they are prepared to pay for their own, living expenses and come here to do a master's degree, usually we don't give full scholarship for master's degrees. What we give is just tuition waiver, and that's just a budget limitation. So the few stipends that we have, we prefer to invest them in the PhD because that's more research. They produce publications, they give us more visibility. So instead of, it's not a waste, but instead of allocating 2 scholarship to a master student, as I said, because the master, we're not expecting them to produce something of publishable quality, but they don't have to. Sometimes the project is an industrial project, and that's very useful. That's very good outcome. Because of the limitation in the budget, we prefer to spend the stipends and the living allowances on the PhD students. So for PhD students, if you're living here, you don't need a living stipend. So that's why we offer only a tuition waiver. If you are an international student, whether you are currently here in Qatar or coming from overseas, it doesn't matter. You're an international student by default. You don't have any employment. You cannot support yourself. That's where we give full scholarship. What I mean by full scholarship, it's only stipend, living allowance, housing, living allowance in terms of stipend, and 80% tuition waiver. When it is full allowance, it doesn't mean you still need to pay 20%. However, I should say that the stipend is generous. You can pay very generously that 20% from the stipend. So it's just to make our tuition waiver consistent, we made it like this. We could easily say, you don't have to pay your tuition, the 20%, but we will cut your stipend anyway. So it doesn't matter. So you should look at it, oh, I'm going to pay something. It's really just to keep, our stipend, our scholarship consistent. They're all 80%, because there are some people who are employed. And there is no reason for us to cover, their full scholarship. They earn good salaries, so that's fine. So this is the only reason we prefer to leave it consistent, so that it's transparent, consistent with everyone. Everyone knows the rules, and everyone can actually pay the 20%. So either students are working and therefore they can afford it, or they are getting a stipend, and stipend is very generous. They can still afford the 20%. So don't look at it, oh, I'm going to pay 20%, I cannot afford it. Believe me, you will be able to afford it. And we also have casual work for PhD students. It's not a lot, but there are some TA-ships and so on. They do help. I'm not sure if this answers everything about the scholarships.
Actually, yeah, it addresses most of the concern raised by the student. I think it's very clear for them now, actually, what is expected, and even in terms of work they could do during their, basically, their stay in the programs at HBKU. I don't see any other, basically, major questions. Actually, most of the questions were answered by the faculty, Dr. Hamish, Dr. McKay, Dr. Spiros, and of course yourself, Professor Salim. Thank you very much, and thank you very much, Mohammed, as well, in answering and addressing the admission questions.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dina. And again, so I've written the admissions email in the chat. Make sure that you contact this admission emails for ICT questions. I'll be able to help you. Don't forget, we still have 1 month for the application deadline. So start the application as soon as possible and contact us if you have any questions. Thank you, Dr. Abdulsalam, and everyone who was with us today, Dr. Hamish, and Azzuddin, Dr. Munir Hamdi as well. And this will end our session unless anyone have concluding remarks. Anyone?
I just want to thank everyone, the admission side, and my colleagues, Dr. Spiros, Dr. Tina, and Dr. Hamish. They were answering the question in the background, which makes my job easier. So thank you all. And we look forward to seeing some of you, some of those attending here in our programs.
Sure thing. Thank you all. This concludes our session for today. Thank you.